Flushing has a new marketing campaign to help support small businesses. The campaign aims to showcase Flushing's diverse community, landmarks, and cultural attractions to attract more people to the neighborhood. Joining me now is John Cho, the Executive Director of the Greater Flushing Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. So let's talk about this. What is happening with small businesses in Flushing that made you decide this is something, this campaign is necessary? Businesses across the city facing rising rents and other challenges. The same situation, I imagine, in Flushing?
Absolutely, even more so in Flushing because we have so much economic activity that rents have skyrocketed. They're much more expensive now on Main Street than it is on Madison Avenue in Manhattan.
So many of them longtime businesses,
Yes.
small businesses,
Mom and pop stores.
family, mom and pop, struggling to survive.
Yes, and some of them have already been displaced. They've been forced out, and I think that is actually a very problem for a neighborhood like ours because we have such a unique set of businesses.
I mean, it's really these small businesses, especially for someone who hasn't been to Flushing, these businesses are really the backbone of the neighborhood, the economy.
And they've defined our identity. They've really
Yeah.
attracted a lot of business. And Flushing has been one of the few neighborhoods that actually continues to have jobs and economic activity during the last recession. So I feel we need to really identify Flushing as a model for new development and new economic activity.
So you hope to help them out with this new marketing campaign. We should mention you're doing this, the Chamber is doing this with the Asian Americans for Equality,
Yes.
and also help with some funding from the city's Small Business Services Department, $1.5 million. So specifically, what will you be doing?
We are launching a district marketing campaign to promote Flushing, to rebrand Flushing in some ways, and to really attract people to experience Flushing in a new way, because I think a lot of people may come and be very intimidated by what they see on Main Street and Roosevelt, but we want to really give them a guiding hand and show them, like, here are some of the best restaurants in the city, here are some of the best venues and shows that you'll see in the city, and you'll have a great time.
Yeah, because there's a lot to see there. So you put together this pamphlet,
Yes.
all kinds of information there, cultural attractions and restaurants and other places of interest in the neighborhood. So talk to me about that, and that will be available where you're handing it out to neighborhoods outside of Flushing.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going out to different neighborhoods. We're working with other chambers of commerce and other nonprofit organizations to really say, hey, let's have a relationship where you're bringing people into our neighborhood and we're doing vice versa. We don't have to depend on Wall Street and the larger economic activity that so many people in New York have depended on. That's due neighborhood to neighborhood economic activity.
So you want to boost the bottom lines by helping these businesses, but also by doing so, you're attracting, targeting not only the veteran shoppers who know about Flushing and go there all the time, but also the new shoppers. So how do you convince people, hey, come check us out, we've got a lot to offer here?
Sure, we have a couple of major concepts. One is Flushing A to Z, which really profiles all the different historic, cultural venues in Flushing, the great businesses and shopping meccas that we have in downtown Flushing. You'll find the best bargains in the city here. We also have a concept called the Real New York.
Yeah.
And that really turns on its head this concept that Flushing is just a Chinatown. And I think we have a lot more to offer. We're much more diverse than the stereotype that I think a lot of people have in the media about Flushing, that we're only for a certain type of ethnic group. Actually, we have probably one of the most diverse communities in the city, in the nation, actually. We have a history going back to the 1600s.
Right.
We have African Americans, Latinos, Italian, Irish, Jewish communities throughout our neighborhood.
So you take all of that and you try to tie it in to the small businesses in the neighborhood through promotions and whatnot. So how is that going to work going hand to hand? So let's say you're a restaurant in Flushing and you get people who come out to the neighborhood to see, the Quaker Meeting House or et cetera. So how do those go hand in hand? What do you do?
Sure. There are different ways that we're trying to connect businesses to this type of marketing. One is we have free workshops where people, mom pop stores, can come and get assistance in promoting their business. So helping them with social media, helping them with their websites. I'm really giving them a hands-on kind of tutorial on the new technologies that are out there.
Well, I was just going to ask about that because a lot of these businesses, or as we mentioned, mom and pop businesses, they may not be, ready to kind of move into the next sort of the next trends, and especially with social media. So they really need to be educated in all this.
Sure, and the Chamber wants to be kind of a marketing department for the small businesses in Flushing. We're the fourth largest commercial district. We have 6,000 small businesses in the city. And I think a lot of these businesses, as you had mentioned before, are feeling the squeeze in terms of rent increases and major developments coming in, national retail stores. Main Street is becoming major national banks and fast food restaurants, like any other typical Main Street. And I think that would be a disservice to our community and also the city at large.
Right. So in addition to what you have there already in terms of the attractions and the culture, the Chamber over the past few years has has developed different kinds of events. Let's talk about one of your big ones, Flushing Night Out. This has been a huge success, and this year's event coming up next weekend.
Yes.
And this has been huge. Describe it.
Yes, Flushing Night Out is really a showcase for all the amazing things that you'll find in Flushing: the food, the music, the culture. We'll have arts and crafts, family activities, but we'll have local musicians singing and performing, as well as dumplings, all sorts of different types of dumplings, bubble teas, and all the things that I think people come to Flushing for. A lot of food.
All in one place.
Yes, absolutely. And this year, what's different is that we're doing it at this very historic site, the Quaker Meeting House, which was built in 1694. We want to bring people and connect people to history.
The tide of history, yeah. The other event, a tour to Flushing, you had the first one this year. We actually covered it. So it's a bike ride, and the bikers go to the different landmarks in Flushing.
Yes, and we're very surprised that we had 200 people show up for that ride, for the first inaugural ride. And this was something that we did with Transportation Alternatives, Queens Committee, and other bike activists, because we feel that the city can do more to improve safety for bicyclists, to connect better the green spaces and the parks to people who ride bikes.
And biking has been so big now, of course. And finally, you're putting the finishing touches on this new portal where people go online.
Yes.
And tell me about that real quick.
Sure. FlushingFantastic.nyc is...
Flushing is fantastic.
about to launch. It hasn't officially launched yet, but very soon we'll have a lot of great itineraries, stories about the Flushing community and individual entrepreneurs. We'll have Flushing A to Z, as I mentioned before, so you have a showcase of different historic and cultural venues. We'll have promotions where people may be able to get discounts to restaurants and eateries in downtown Flushing. So there's going to be a lot to offer.
A lot to offer. If you haven't checked out Flushing, go check it out. John Cho with the Greater Flushing Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Rocco.
And for more information on everything happening in Flushing, you can head to this website, flushingchamber.nyc. Thanks again to John. All right, stay with us, everyone. Meet our Queen's Person of the Week when we come back.